The Arcturian Group, Effects of Rising Frequencies. Dear readers, welcome to our message. Everyone is experiencing the effects of the high-frequency energy now flowing to Earth, which is causing some of those living solely from a three-dimensional state of consciousness to act out in negative ways. However, increasingly more are now opening to a higher sense of who and what they are and their connection to other forms of life, even as the outer world seems to reflect regression rather than ascension. A great deal of dense energy is presently manifesting, with much more to come, in order to clear through being seen, recognized, and rejected. When personal difficulties seem to arise out of nowhere, you may be tempted to believe that you have failed in some way. But the truth is that there is no such thing as failure, because every experience is a facet of one's spiritual evolution. Failure is a three-dimensional concept based in duality: success versus failure. Failure is old programming that has always been a part of the three-dimensional belief system, but became more widespread when the Church was both law and government, using their authority to promote false concepts about God and then punish, intimidate, guilt, and even kill anyone who disagreed. Those who are prepared, and many are not aware that they are prepared, are increasingly moving toward higher conscious awareness of their true spiritual nature, but some continue to believe that the religious ceremonies, affirmations, metaphysical tools, etc., that were a part of their spiritual journey are still necessary. Rites and rituals have served an important role in almost everyone's evolution because they served as a bridge between a spiritually ignorant state of consciousness to one open and ready for more. Almost everyone has had past lives in convents, monasteries, ancient temples, and ashrams, etc., where there were many rites and rituals along with seriously taken oaths, vows, and promises, etc. It is important at this time to consciously state your intention to clear any remaining oaths and vows. Once a person realizes that God and everything they have been seeking is already fully present within, practices and outer tools meant to bring one closer to God automatically become obsolete. Continuing to look outside of self for God serves only to hold a person in an outgrown state of consciousness. Even mediation can become a rite or ritual. We are not saying to stop mediating or that sit-down meditations are no longer important, but at some point expand meditation into a living, walking, active meditation. When you become a living meditation, you bring spiritual light with you wherever you go. A person's spiritual journey becomes serious the moment they begin to seek the truth about themselves and God. It is different for every person. For some, the choice may come late in life after they have completed necessary three-dimensional lessons and experiences. Others may have spiritually evolved in previous lifetimes and entered into this one prepared to pick up exactly where they left off, which is true for many of you who read these messages. Once a person sincerely says, "Show me the way," the spiritual train leaves the station and their higher self begins drawing to them the experiences, people, and realizations necessary for spiritual growth. This period is usually the start of a difficult and unpleasant time in a seeker's life, because by asking to be shown the way, they have given permission for everything that may stand in the way to manifest in order to be experienced, seen, recognized, and cleared. Your job is to allow the process, a phase you are starting to hear from many spiritual sources right now. What exactly does allow the process mean? Does it refer to global or personal issues? Does it refer to three-dimensional issues or those of a higher level? Globally, it means to trust that a divine plan really is taking place and your job is to be an observer, rather than adding energies of fear and doubt to what is going on. Personally, it means learning to handle everything, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, from a higher level because you are ready, and it is a step in your ascension process. It does not mean giving up or surrendering to three-dimensional difficulties from a sense of hopelessness, but rather means trusting qualities of your real divine self, your true being, to manifest as what is needed, which may come in the form of some seemingly three-dimensional solution. Because mind is the interpreter of consciousness, a consciousness of divine completeness and wholeness will manifest in forms that represent completeness and wholeness to the person involved. Divine consciousness, God is infinitely manifesting and expressing its self-sustained, self-maintained, harmonious abundant, and creative wholeness because it is what it is, and cannot be anything other than what it is, regardless of how hypnotized with third-dimensional concepts the world may be. God is, always has been, and will infinitely continue to express itself without assistance from human egos that believe God to be separate. The reason most are unaware of and do not experience the qualities of their true self is because over time they have unknowingly allowed their consciousness to become conditioned with beliefs of duality, separation, and many powers. Because consciousness is creative, it simply expresses itself as false beliefs are not power over reality, but when firmly established in a person's consciousness, they act as shadows that prevent the ever-present light from being seen or experienced. This is why the clearing process is so important at this time. Allowing the process is simply getting out of your own way so that the divine realities already fully present within can manifest. It means being willing to let go of long-held favorite concepts about God, others, and the world in general. It is being willing to let go of everything and anything standing in the way of attaining conscious oneness with God in order to allow an already present reality to manifest. For thousands of years, religions have taught, and continue to teach, that in order to be saved from dire punishments on earth and in the afterlife, a person must attend church, follow certain rules, man-made rules for God has no rules, intercede through a saint or someone considered to be closer to God, priest, rabbi, minister, or guru, pray a certain way, wear certain clothing, and any number of other ridiculous man-made concepts about God and spirituality, which are and always have been false. Every human is a spiritual being wearing the flesh uniform required for attending Earth School. No priest, minister, rabbi, saint, guru, or animated televangelist has more of God than anyone else. The only difference is in the degree of realization and state of consciousness a person has attained. Run as fast as you can from those in positions of religious authority who demand obedience to man, made rules calling them God's rules, and teaching that you need to be saved and can only do it through them and their teachings. Present times are completely new and cannot be compared or judged with standards of the past. The beliefs, concepts, and states of collective and personal consciousness of earlier times no longer serve as they once did. A great deal of what you are used to being a certain way is going to either change or completely dissolve in order to manifest in forms that will serve all and not just a select few. Allow the process, dear ones. Allow the process through realizing that allowing is a spiritual activity, the letting go of doing so the it can do itself. We are the Arcturian group.